This is a really fun one. And again, you know, if you're not a big fan of the ingredients, you can definitely switch them up to suit your style. Blood oranges are delicious. It's one of my favorite. Yeah, well, a lot of us have just started seeing them now. You can usually find, I usually find them around like winter time. We don't grow them. Yeah, you can, I mean, and if you can't find them, regular oranges are fine as well. I know, that's where I found them, yeah. So this is your blood orange. What we're gonna do is start off with using that rasp, and we wanna get some of that zest. This is actually gonna go into the cake. So again, nothing wasted.
You'll get some wonderful extra flavor.
And it's got a lot of those orangey oils in there. You can smell it as soon as you zest that. So we'll put that aside for now. And I'm just going to cut off the rest of the rind. So to simply do this, I'm taking about 1/4 inch off the top and the bottom so it lays nice and flat. And then use a smaller paring knife. It might be a little easier if you're not comfortable with a chef's knife. But and just follow the curve of the orange and remove all of that rind and that white pith on the outside. And this is the hardest part of the recipe. And just take your time. It really does not take too long. It was kind of the upside down pineapple cake that inspired this dish, which you don't see too often anymore.
This is a nice kind of modern twist on that.
Yeah.
Rather than doing the canned fruits, you know, try some oranges, get something a little bit more fresh in there.
You can do this with kiwis as well. Kind of cut off the rind. So once that's all removed, and this is a tinier orange, you can obviously you can do it with a bigger orange, but you just want to cut some slices through there. If there's any seeds, just remove the seeds. Doesn't matter if it's uneven. And do that to probably like 2 to 3 oranges. If they're this size, I'd probably choose like 3 oranges.
It's a great idea to get some vitamin C into your recipes this time of year. As we know, it's an antioxidant that can help to fight off illness and infection. So while some of the colds and flus are circulating, it can definitely help, you know, strengthen or prevent you from being susceptible to catching some of those.
Okay, now for the wet and dry ingredients. For the dry ingredients, I have some red fife flour. You can use any flour, But if you have the red fife, great, yes. That's oh, the green is, this is just ground pistachios, but you don't have to use it. The reason I added that is because this cake doesn't have any butter, doesn't have any oil, and you want to add a little bit of richness. So, you know what, the nuts are a great fat to use. It's going to provide that kind of really nice mouthfeel. It's going to provide a little bit of a texture, crunch as well. But any nuts, you can use any nuts, run them through a food processor, and you get ground nut flour. Yes. And have a little bit of baking powder in there. That's it. So we're just going to stir that up. You can add a little bit of cinnamon as well, a little bit of nutmeg, a little bit of spice. And then for our wet ingredients, we've got 2 eggs. We're going to whisk that up. And this is a very moist cake, especially if you're cooking it in the crock pot. I did it both ways. I found that in the crock pot it stays much more moist because it keeps all of, well, it's a smaller space and it's keeping all of that moisture in there. So that's why it takes a little bit longer to cook, but really nice cake. And pumpkin puree. This is just 100% pure pumpkin puree, not the pumpkin pie mix. That's going to go in. We're going to add some honey to sweeten it up. That's the only thing about honey is it takes like forever. Get down. There we go. Honey in there and a little bit of yogurt. Remember, 1/2 cup of just regular plain yogurt again. Just to, you know, make it a little creamier, give it some richness. You know, you can use that Greek yogurt for some added protein as well. It's fantastic.
If you don't want to do the dairy, you could, you know, now they have coconut yogurt and soy yogurt, so you could substitute with one of those as well.
And we're just gonna mix that up just until well combined. If you have any oranges left, I know I have some juice in here, add a little bit of that, the juice as well, especially that blood orange juice. Gives it this amazing, vibrant color. And then that's it. Then slowly add, Christy, I might need your hands here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna slowly add, if you have a helper in the kitchen, this is what you call them.
Baking is meant to be done together, right?
So slowly, a little bit at a time. And actually, while you do the rest of that, you can just get them to do the whole thing after.
Hey!
What I'm gonna do is for the crock pot. So this is essential for the crock pot. You don't have to do this if you're doing it in just a regular baking dish. What I wanna do is line it with parchment paper. So make sure that the parchment paper is big enough where it's gonna fit to the bottom, come up the sides. And if you were to put it in just like this, you're never gonna get a flat surface. What you wanna do is actually run it under some warm water.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So run it under the warm water. This is a really cool technique. Just kind of wring it dry. A little bit of the moisture in there is okay. And now you have this very moldable piece of parchment, and that's going to go in. And you can just fit it to the sides. Make sure you get into all the crevices there. If it's a little low in the middle, just add another piece, just so you make sure you cover all of the bottom there. What this does is it protects the cake a little bit, keeps it nice and moist, and it's easy to remove. You try to remove a cake out of a crock pot without doing that, forget it.
It's gonna be heavy, you're gonna try to flip it over.
And it's not gonna work. So the parchment, actually, you can just lift it right out and it makes it super, super easy. So we're gonna put our blood oranges, just dump them all in, right in the bottom, and kind of just lay them out as flat as possible. You can take your time and get fancy and chefy, but
who has time for
who
that?
has time for that? That's why we're using a crock pot to begin with.
There you go. So beautiful, you're creating this blood orange layer
Yeah.
at the bottom.
Let's put that in there. Oh, I forgot the zest. Zest in there. So it's a wet kind of cake batter. So orange is in. The batter goes right in. Make sure that the parchment, again, is covering everything. It's going to make your life a lot easier. Now, I don't know if this technique works for every single type of baking or cake recipe. I don't bake that often, so.
So don't try to do every cake recipe and translate it into the crock pot?
Yeah, or you can try it and then let me know if it works.
That's good.
So, oh yeah, you got the camera on there. So just flatten it out with a spoon just until it's nice and even. That's it. Lid on top. We're gonna set this on high for 3 hours. That's all it takes. And then what you get.
So if you're having company over, you could just kind of put that on as everybody comes over.
Exactly, yeah. The paper will dry out a little bit. But what you want to do is carefully lift the parchment paper out of there. Get a plate and invert it and let it cool. Let it cool with the parchment on. What's going to happen is the juices from the blood orange will actually kind of caramelize and stick together and give you this nice little crust. And then you can just peel it back. Hopefully the oranges don't stick to the paper. But, you know, for a crock pot cake, it's not too bad.
Packed with nutrients.
We put some pistachios over top, clean up the sides a little bit, but that's it. You got this really nice, dense pumpkin cake with that red fife flour, and that blood orange just gives it a nice kind of sticky, sweet, almost like a little bitter, grapefruity taste. And that's it. That's your crock pot cake. Yeah.
All right.